Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Trista Patterson. I'm Director for Gaming Sustainability at Xbox, and I'm accompanied by my esteemed colleague, Dan Jacobs, who is Program Manager Extraordinaire for Sustainability at Xbox. Today, we're going to talk about sustainability and how game creators can play their part. The way in which we are going to go through all of these topics is to talk about first the Xbox sustainability commitments, what our user research shows about what the gaming community wants, what projects are underway across Xbox, and if you're a game developer or publisher wondering what you can do, the answer is a lot. Find out more with us, and I want you to specifically listen for there's 3 groups that are really active in game development, not just in Xbox, but across the developing community worldwide. And these are places where everyone can get involved, regardless of their skills or experiences, regardless of their backgrounds and talents. There's place for everyone, and we hope you'll come along. With the next slide, I'm going to talk about why there's a sustainability talk. And if you're here, it's because you already know and are aware, perhaps concerned about different sustainability elements, whether it's climate or waste or water, or the way in which all of these things have come into play, habitat, biodiversity in your daily lives, and so on. And this is something that you can also create new experiences and be able to integrate all of these concerns in the way in which you're approaching game development and get joined up with others who are working on the same. With awareness, it's a special place for the way in which we have the ability to influence in the gaming community. You can see that we've chosen some of the keywords from 343 and Halo in the values of hope and heroism and wonder and community, all of these things that are really lit up with the gaming experience and problem solving. And there's efficiency. If you're thinking about moving into energy efficiency in game development, whether it's in engineering of hardware or software or bringing up these topics and narratives in game development, this area, you have a bright future ahead. It's one of the fastest areas of jobs creation in game development that I'm aware of. And it's one of those topics that is increasingly opening opportunity time and time again. It's also a pioneering place because the sustainability front is constantly evolving, and it's evolving in lockstep with the greatest technological advances applied to the greatest challenges in human history. It means that because in the past, many of these game narratives have never included all of these challenges, it leads to a vast space of creativity and collaboration for you as a developer. And lots of people are really getting excited about this. And that's true also of our gaming community, who can then leverage all of these wonderful games that you create and turn it into rewarding gaming experiences for them. And that's part of the behavior element. We know that gaming intersects with all areas of our lives, and gaming is also play is also a sustainability engine for change. It keeps things positive. It allows us to activate all areas of our brain, not just the logical ones, but also the emotional ones, and helps us create connectivity with others who are engaged in the same challenges as we are. Together, working with cognitive psychologists and the way in which user interface creates areas of agency and action, we can create rewards for gamers all across the board, not just related to direct sustainability activity but in the gaming experience, but also in their daily choices, whether that's choosing renewable energy at home, having conversations with friends, choosing greener products, and so on. The possibilities are truly endless. Let's turn now to some of the more technical topics, and we're going to talk right now about carbon footprinting. If you haven't gone in depth into the the carbon footprinting experience, there are guides and assistance available for you. One guide I'll point out right now is the Yuki Green Game Guide, and that has a stepwise illustration of all of the ways in which you can think about the carbon footprint to you as a developer and also your studio, and some steps of how you can get started, as well as some communities you can hook up with in order to make the fastest progress or identify the lowest hanging fruit. When we think about emissions, Microsoft has talked about its commitment to, by 2030, aiming for these moonshot goals. And those are engaging the highest technology and all of the workforce toward achieving carbon negative, water positive, zero waste, and protecting more land than is used by 2025. It's really notable to think about the ambition of the carbon goals in particular, because that includes not just by 2030 being carbon negative, but then by 2050, sequestering all of the carbon that has been emitted by Microsoft since company inception in the 1970s. So as a consequence, you can see how transformative these goals are. We have a vision of success, and as a consequence, it's really crucial that we engage all of you in being able to actualize on those goals. This diagram on the right illustrates the three different scopes of emissions. The dark blue arrow in the middle illustrates all the direct emissions from Microsoft and Xbox activities that are being emitted from our owned infrastructure. Scope 2 refers to all of the indirect emissions that occur from electricity purchased and used from that owned infrastructure. That's the gray half circle on the left-hand side of the diagram. And then Scope 3 is all of the indirect emissions that are occurring from sources not owned by Microsoft or Xbox. What that means is all of those services and infrastructures that occur upstream of Xbox, so that can be in production or mining of materials or in transport of materials to our manufacturers, or downstream, that right-hand side of the diagram in the bright blue there, everything that happens once the product line leaves Xbox. So that is in transport of the materials to the purchaser, or to what happens in emissions when gamers are playing in their homes, or what happens with emissions when a gamer discards of their product. Are they able to figure out, with our help, best possible practices for uptake and reuse of that material, and also responsible recycling practices? Microsoft has a mailback program right now that Dan is going to be talking to you about, which is one of those ways which you can responsibly dispose of your device. With the next slide, we're going to talk about what we currently know about customer research and gamers. Right now, one of the things that's challenging is that we're still looking at sustainability from a fairly limited lens of all of the different actions that gamers can take place. On the right is a list of the most common actions listed by gamers, whether it's downloading games instead of using physical discs, unplugging or using power strips when you're not using them, trading in games to reduce waste, or changing the settings in order to use less power. That can be some really important places. We can all minimize impacts to the gaming experience while we still make significant sustainable strides forwards. And together, Xbox and Microsoft have understood that this is not a burden to be placed on the shoulders of developers, but hand in hand, we can create the tools, the data, the interfaces that help you do more with all of the experiences and understanding that you have, and do so in such a way that also offers the kind of world-class gaming experience that people have come to expect from Xbox. At Xbox, we're aiming high, and we can do this best when we do this together. Right now, games reach between 2.5 and 3 billion players across the planet, and the best collective impact we can have is at scale. Inspiration in games can translate to real-world action. There's a sense of purpose and path forward around which we can unite. Already at Xbox, we've heard from 75% of our German and US gamers surveyed want gaming companies to make more specific statements about their sustainability efforts, and also show the ways in which developers and gamers alike can take action on the issues that gamers care most about. As game developers, you are in a remarkable place to have the ability to tap into the brains of all ages and execute with creativity, reward, and discovery on creating a shared experience that is better both for each of our gamers, to you as developers, and radiate out all of these impacts all across the world to create a better future. Right now, I'm going to hand off to my colleague, Dan. He's going to tell you about the in-depth details of all the different ways in which we are offering the sustainability experience across the business groups at Xbox, and then also different ways in which you can get involved. Dan, I'll hand it to you.
Thank you, Trista. Yes, my name's Daniel Jacobs, as you heard at the start, and I'm also a gaming sustainability PM here in Xbox. So we want to be as transparent as possible during this presentation. And given that Xbox is making major investments in the sustainability space, I wanted to take a couple of minutes exploring how our sustainability project is built inside gaming. Now, maybe you can reflect these ideas in your own organization. So if we go clockwise from the top of the screen, both Trista and I sit in XPS, top right. And our initial task was to help assemble carbon accounting tooling to track the progress of gaming towards carbon negative. Now, without the correct reporting in place, you obviously can't monitor our progress. Now, these same tools provide incentives for other groups inside Xbox because it gives them a way to better understand their trajectory and return on investments for their products and their projects rather. Now, although reporting is always a work in progress, we are getting there bit by bit. Before you ask, yes, we are planning how we can expose game sustainability telemetry direct to publishers and developers in that self-service capacity. So next on the right side is Geo, who are our third-party publisher accounts team. Now, our friends in Geo maintain the relationship with all publishers and developers, including most of you in the audience today. And Geo are on hand for any feedback that you might have back to Xbox. Now, marketing, comms, and social outreach at the bottom are responsible for telling our sustainability story. So if you have ideas for future sustainability marketing collaboration between yourselves and Xbox, these are the people who would love to hear your ideas. XGS are obviously our studios who build and release games. And you'll hear a little more later on from what the outreach and educational narratives that some of these studios have already been weaving into their games. We also have other studios preparing to tell their sustainability stories and participate more with the UN-led Playing for the Planet Alliance. We'll discuss that more later. And the penultimate team here is GXP. And GXP are the engineering teams who build our hardware and software and perhaps leverage our carbon reporting the most. Now, they are hard at work finding new and exciting ways to lower our usage and manufacturing carbon footprint with constant innovations. You might have already heard of energy saver mode on the console, the low energy standby mode for all consoles that was pushed out earlier this year. Well, GXP are the ones who built that feature, and they're also pursuing many other improvements, such as big changes in recyclability across our devices and packaging. And last but not least on this slide is xCloud and game streaming, which is powered by Microsoft Azure cloud services. Now, Team xCloud are hard at work understanding the power and carbon footprint from start point to end point, and it's a fun challenge because xCloud servers are rather unique, but we're getting there, and we still very much have that commitment to have Azure services powered entirely by renewable energy by 2025. So let's jump on to the next slide. Now, there's a lot of content here, but really much of it are ideas you can consider applying in your own business. Now, for context on the left, you can see that Xbox's emissions are almost entirely from the use of our sold products, with the production of our devices filling up almost the rest, filling up the rest of the emissions footprint. Now, looking further into usage, you can see that gaming mode, or the gaming mode rather, uses the most power and therefore the most electricity in our customers' homes. So in Xbox, this is where the most of our investment is going to improve. But what about developers and publishers, right? Well, the good news is we also have tools available for you to assess your own carbon footprint. Now, Microsoft Cloud for Sustainability is an extensible software as a service solution that helps you record, report, and reduce your organization's environmental impact through, well, what is really cool, actually, automated data connections and actionable insights. Now, all of this allows you to record your emissions to understand your impact. So what about recyclability commitments? You know, a lot of you have merchandise, for example. Can you invest in more circular economy? Now, in contrast to the take, make, and waste linear model, a circular economy is regenerative by design and aims to gradually decouple growth from the consumption of, finite resources. So there's some fantastic industry forums also for you to join and learn more, which you can see to the right side of the screen. Now, you can see groups like the UK Interactive Entertainment Group, or the International Game Developers Association and the Climate Special Interest Group in that, or the Playing for the Planet Alliance, which is led by the UN. Now, all their content is out there on the web to find and has lots of education to jump straight into, is entirely open for anyone to visit. Maybe you can use these learnings to help you promote various ecological events like Earth Day, for example. Now, the key takeaway from this slide is that we all have our own unique abilities and skills to help participate. So don't be intimidated, because resources are out there to help you adopt new goals and commitments and have the education to get involved. Okay, so for the next slide, you're probably thinking about, so Dan, give me some actual real game examples. So we want to encourage you to consider how you can also participate in educating the world to help entertain and educate. So with the examples on the screen, you'll see I picked two from Microsoft and one for our friends in Ubisoft. Now, Mojang, who obviously built Minecraft, have built things like Sustainability City and Climate Futures. Just taking Climate Futures, it takes players through a series of lessons which focuses on a different set of sustainable development goals and offers students and players alike an opportunity to build collaborative solutions. Now, Minecraft have partnered with institutions like the Met Office here in the UK, UNESCO, the WWF, the Nature Conservancy, and lots more. And with more than 100 million downloads of the education collection content in Minecraft in the first 6 months after it's released, it's safe to say there's a strong appetite for this kind of content. So Turn 10 and Playground Games in the middle, who built Forza, are also doing something similar with electric cars in the Forza franchise, allowing gamers to enjoy the benefits of electrical vehicles and improving their discoverability. Now, there's a good time to also mention that Minecraft, before I move on, play a large part in Xbox's involvement with the UN-facilitated Playing for the Planet Alliance, which includes numerous publishers and developers who work to introduce what we call green touches into gameplay. So on the subject of Playing for the Planet, excuse me, they also have the Green Game Jam. And the aim of the jam is for studios to innovate on games with existing player bases or those which are soon to be released. So in 2021, I think nearly 30 studios, which includes some very big names, ranging from PC, console, and mobile, of which Xbox is a part of, entered into that jam. And the winners are announced across multiple categories. So the winner of the UNEX 2021 choice was a really cool game from Anno 1800, released by Ubisoft Mainz. Now, in Anno 1800, it takes place in the era of industrialization, and players interact with and take advantage of the environment around them without repercussion. But to highlight the importance of sustainability and the interdependencies of ecosystems, the team introduced a new game mode called Eden Burning, with an upside-down game rules focused on these themes. Now, in this mode, players were really cool. It was really cool how they were carefully had to choose resources that they used to build an industrial project whilst preserving the natural ecosystem. So players' decisions to use renewable or non-renewable resources will directly impact their environments. Fantastic example delivered there by Ubisoft. And then as we jump into the summary slides to finish this all too brief presentation, I just want to kind of say that, on behalf of Trista and I and all of Xbox, that, we just want to impart that no matter how small or large your influence in your organization, you can absolutely make a difference. Maybe you can be a pioneer, or maybe you can join a wider team, but the first step is always the hardest. But there's lots of resources out there to read and get involved. And if you want to learn more about what Xbox is doing, or you want to offer suggestions, or you want to log requests for how we can help you, either at a technical level or a game narrative level, then please do get in touch, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. So thank you for that, and goodbye.